So this is part 2 of my Ace Attorney Investigations playthrough, and we're in case 1, Turnabout Visitor, and we're about to start investigating Edgeworth's office to see what exactly happened with the dead guy on the floor. So let's start. Okay, let's give them some space and see what's going on. Let's look at, oh look, I can make him run around. This picture of his froofy jacket. Your jacket, sir, what's it doing on the floor? It must have fallen off the wall when the killer tried to threaten me by firing a round. Is that even in the right direction? So the killer not only shot the victim, but they shot your jacket as well? I'm not sure which one Gumshoe's more upset about. They dared to shoot the ultra special jacket that you made your prosecutorial debut in? What if they had shot through it? It would have been a disaster. Okay, confirmed that Gumshoe is more worried about the jacket than the dead person. It's not worth getting worked up over, detective. Not when there's something more here. Huh? Like what? I take it you haven't noticed it yet, detective. There is a giant contradiction right here in front of us. Really? Oh, he looks so confused. Did I say contradiction? He must be rubbing off on me. I'm starting to sound like him. Wow. Phoenix has affected you so much that you can't even say his name in your monologues, your internal monologues even. But I have my own methods, and I will conduct this investigation my way, and not the crazy Phoenix right way. When the scene before me contradicts a piece of evidence or seems off, that's when my deductive skills come into play. Alright, let's see you Sherlock Holmes this thing. First, I have to find the spot that holds the contradiction. Well, I'm going to go with this giant bullet hole in the wall. This is it. The bullet hole is where the contradiction lies. You don't say. When I spot something that's off, I should touch the deduce button with conviction. Alright, conviction. And when I have found sufficient proof to prove the contradiction, I present it. Yeah, that's nothing like Phoenix, right? This is how I do things. Alright, let's present this revolver because only one bullet was missing and that bullet seems to be lodged in the dead guy, which is on the other side of the room. So, we'll see. Eureka! Eureka! He says. This bullet hole is a contradiction. What do you mean, sir? It's elementary. 2 shots were fired in this room. Well, there you go. He's taking this Sherlock Holmes thing all the way. The first felled the victim, and the second felled this frame. Who uses felled as a noun? No. Who uses felled as a verb anymore, Edgeworth? Hey, that's right! However, this gun was only fired once. Hey, that's true too? Which means that one of these 2 bullets was fired from a different gun. Did the killer have another gun prepared for tonight? Another handgun. Other than the victim's gun that I found, could there be another gun in play here? Maybe the killer just shoots bullets out of his fingers, like Yu Yu Hakusho. By the way, I noticed something, sir. Yes? What's that thing sticking out from behind the frame? That. It's a secret safe. That's no longer secret, because Gumshoe knows about it, and the police officers know about it, and now the killer knows about it. A secret safe? Ooh, I smell money. I'll spare us the trouble and just say it. Nothing like what you're imagining is inside. Oh, maybe he was, imagining having a living wage because some prosecutor keeps cutting it. Now, if you could kindly move this frame out of the way. Roger that. He says, talk about dusty. I suppose that's what happens when I'm not here to dust it once in a while. Man, how long were you gone, Edgeworth? I had no idea there was a safe here, or I'd have kept it clean for you, sir. So when did you put this thing in? It wasn't something I had installed personally. Every prosecutor's office has one. Well, I guess that killer dude already knew about it. Really? I had no idea. Well, only prosecutors are supposed to have knowledge of their existence. Good job doing on that one, Edgeworth. So what's inside, Mr. Edgeworth? Right now, nothing. We'll only use them to store especially important evidence when a trial is in session. That's it? Talk about squashing my hopes and dreams. Aw, poor Gumshoe. Yay, secret safe data jotted down in my organizer because Edgeworth needs reminding that his secret safe exists, I guess. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Right? This looks really suspicious. I'm going to examine it. Now this is odd. You found something, sir? This keypad. Don't you find it to be a bit too clean? Yeah, there's a thick layer of dust all around it, but not on the keypad itself. You there, the forensic scientist? Yes, sir. Could you please dust this area for fingerprints? You got it, sir. I couldn't find, let alone lift, a single print. Looks like it was wiped down well. Well, that's not suspicious at all. Logic sparkle! As I thought. It appears that logic is the only way around this setback. Time to rationally and calmly connect the dots with the information we have. Alright, let's logic this thing. Oh, no, we're talking to Gumshoe because I pressed the wrong button. Logic. Okay, already. Well, I guess I'm done. There it is. Took me a while to find that button. Killer's goal. Why did this happen in my office? What was the killer after? Wiped fingerprints. Another handgun and signs of struggle. Well, let's see. I guess I'm assuming the killer's goal was the safe. Oops, wrong button again. Killer's goal and wiped fingerprints. Let's try. Hey, it worked. I believe I have figured out what the murderer was after. Well, what is it, sir? The fact that the safe was wiped clean of fingerprints suggests that the criminal had at least attempted to open my safe, making the culprit's motive for breaking and entering theft, I believe. So what was in your safe, Edgeworth? Logic bubble. I wonder if knowing that the motive behind this break-in was theft changes what the other pieces of information can tell me about this crime. Motive theft, question mark. Signs of struggle. And another handgun. Well, let's see. Let's see. I don't know. Let's do this one. And signs of struggle. And apparently I lose hit points if I'm wrong, so let's see. Oh, that one works. Okay. There's a possibility that the files splayed on the floor, nice vocabulary there, are not the result of a struggle between the victim and his killer. Oh, you mean like it could be from when the killer tried to find something, sir? Wow, Gumshoe. Precisely. We need to figure out if any of the files have been stolen. So Gumshoe pieced together some information for once by himself. Good job, Gumshoe. Yes, sir. I'm going to shelve files like you've never seen before, even at a library. Sure. Let's give that a try. Walking? We're walking. Why do all the good ones always die young? Surely you must ponder that every once in a while, Mr. Edgeworth. You're kind of in my way, dude. No matter how much we lament, the dead will not come back to life. And he knows all about that, unfortunately. Poor Edgeworth. All we can do is search for the truth. And? So what are we supposed to do? How do we go about finding the truth? First, we calmly restore the files to their rightful place. Isn't this a crime scene? Aren't you not supposed to mess with things in a crime scene? You got it! Here, let me help. So this file goes here and that book goes there. You sure know a lot about where things go despite it being Mr. Edgeworth's office. Because I'm the one who keeps it tidy, pal. Okay, done. It would appear that the murder was definitely committed here. The bloodstains on the bookshelf are still fresh. Oh, Gumshoe, you poor baby. Why are you a detective? Why aren't you something else? Something nicer, like something that deals with like playing with puppies all day. I suspect that the victim was killed in a standing position, hence the prints on the shelf. And then the guy fell onto the floor, right? The blood on the floor is kind of grossing me out. Detective, I don't have the time to deal with your weak stomach right now. But you know I'm no good with blood, sir. I'm certain there's something wrong with this picture. Alright, we're going to examine things. Let's examine these things, the bloody ones. So this is where the bullet lodged itself after it went through the victim, huh? For the bullet to be lodged so squarely in the file's spine indicates that the files were ransacked after the shooting had occurred. Then I guess the victim was moved because he was in the killer's way. Let's look at the bloody handprints. The victim's handprints. He must have tried to support himself with his hands here after being shot. There are prints on the floor too. Those must have been made when, unable to stay standing, he dropped to the floor. We're looking at this. Now let's look at this pool of blood. It appears that the victim was in a sitting position here after being shot. Oh, so that's why the seat of the victim's pants are blood. I'll try again. Oh, so that's why the seat of the victim's pants has blood on it. That would be the logical conclusion. Alright, let's deduce something about this bullet hole because that looks suspicious. Oh, I logicked it instead. I'm going back. Deduce. That's the organizer button. Sorry. There we go. Is this spot somehow connected to any of the evidence I hold? Let's see. Crime scene notes? Maybe. Eureka! There's clearly a contradiction here with this bullet hole. What do you mean, sir? You don't see? Quite simply, the bullet hole itself is too low. If the victim was shot in the stomach, the hole should be much higher up. But what if the guy was shot while he was sitting or lying down, sir? That would be illogical. The victim leaned against this shelf here after being shot, which suggests that he was standing when he was shot. Then that means... Wait. What does that mean, sir? It means you need to use your brain every once in a while instead of mine, detective. Aww. In any case, it means someone made a faulty assumption, and it was from this mistake that our current contradiction was born. What is the faulty assumption that caused this problem with the bullet hole's position? Let's see. What is the faulty assumption? Let's choose one. The order of the files. I'll go with that, since the files shouldn't be there, probably. I believe that the order of the files is a bit off. You mean I put them back in the wrong order just now? Hey, actually, I think the labels on the files are wrong, sir. Oh? Yeah, you see here how the files that were shot begin with the number 0? What are those doing all the way down there after 1, 2, and 3? That's really weird! Actually, the way they are organized now is the correct order. They're exactly as I see them in my mind's eye. Okay. But the numbers are all out of order. Those white binders are special, so they're arranged a little differently. But from this, we know that the files were not in this order when the crime occurred. Aha, so that's it. I believe the killer made the same incorrect assumption as you just did, Detective. Let's rearrange the files in numerical order and see what we found out. Do you think it'd be okay to prop the body back up to how it was before it was moved? Are you gonna do that, Gumshoe? Because you were like 5 seconds to passing out earlier. They finished processing the crime scene, so I don't see why it wouldn't be. You are a terrible prosecutor. If you please, Detective Gumshoe. Oh, he even made Gumshoe move the body. As I suspected, the bullet hole is now where it should logically be. The killer went through my files first, before shooting Mr. Faith. And then put the files back in numerical order, I guess. Exactly, and then proceeded to shoot the victim. But why would someone kill a man and then look through your files one more time? Puzzling indeed. The files were thrown into disarray twice, once before and after the crime scene. Oh, sorry. Once before and once after the crime. But why? Sparkly logic. Now the crime scene is at it as it was at the time of the murder. Time to give it another look. What shall I investigate now? Let's look at the bullet hole again. As I suspected, the bullet hole is now where it logically should be. We figured out that the killer went through your bookshelf twice. Indeed, there are many things the killer did that don't make sense. But to figure out the whys, we need more information. Let's examine this poor dead guy. There must be some reason as to why the victim's body was moved, but there's no time to ponder that now. Let us continue with our investigation, Detective. Roger that, sir. I'm raring to go. Alright, this looks like letters. Let's look at that. What is that? Why does it say Gumshoe on there in blood? I'd say it's some incredibly incriminating evidence. See, this is how, much Phoenix and Edgeworth have in common. This is how Phoenix's first case started, with Maya's name written in blood. Yes, indicative of criminal activity, indeed. No, wait! There's gotta be some mistake. Mr. Edgeworth, sir, help me! Say something, sir! It appears that one of my files was stolen. Is that all, sir? What about me and my situation? Is this what the killer was really after? Investigation complete. Looks like Jim was able to leave us the name of his killer in the end. And this most important message managed to reach us. I'm telling you, it wasn't me, he says as he stomps the ground. You can't be terribly pleased to hear that your beloved partner is a guilty party. If you're going to accuse Detective Gumshoe of being the culprit, I sincerely hope you have some proof to back it up. Jim's words, they're more than enough, wouldn't you say? If that's how you want to play it, then at least allow me to understand your reasoning. You got it! I don't like this one bit. There's something strange about this man's attitude. And there must be some sort of flaw to his logic waiting for me to dig out. Mr. Edgeworth, you going to do? What I always do in court, I'm going to cross-examine him. One way or another, I'll expose the flaw in his logic with this technique. Ooh, how do you do that? Can you explain it to me, sir? Might as well. Alright, first I listen to the witness's testimony. If I find a flaw in the testimony, something that contradicts the evidence, I open the organizer and present the piece of contradictory evidence. Shouldn't you know this, Edgeworth? How many Phoenix Wright games have you been in? To present something, I simply touch the present button, but that's old news. But it's not like there's going to be a flaw in their testimony every time, right? Correct, and at those times I need to press the witness by touching the press button. Sometimes by pressing I can draw out new information and new or modified testimony. Think I get it, sir? I'll be sure to try this technique out during investigations too. Very well, I'll even show you how it's done. Now watch carefully. Ooh, court time. Mr. Portsman's logic. Detective Gumshoe, you stole Jim's gun from him and shot him dead. Further, you messed up the files to make it look like you had committed theft instead. That's when you moved Jim's body that was sitting in front of the bookshelf. But thanks to that, you didn't notice the bloody letters his body was hiding. And it will be by his final words that you will be brought to justice. You intend to argue that the victim's dying message points to his killer. I can hear Jim's voice and he's calling for his killer's arrest. Are you sure you're not mishearing his words, Mr. Portsman? There's no way Detective Gumshoe is the culprit here. I will find the flaw in this man's logic and expose it with credible evidence, as opposed to the incredible evidence that Phoenix Wright tends to use. Rebuttal. Detective Gumshoe, you stole Jim's gun from him and shot him dead. Press. Further, you messed up the files to make it look like you had committed the theft instead. Hold it. You know, there's something I've been meaning to ask. What is it? Why do you call the victim Jim, when clearly his name is Buddy Faith? Isn't it obvious Jim is the perfect name for my companion? Jacques and Jim. Don't those two names go together like peanut butter and jam? But Jim isn't even close to the guy's real name. Well, Jacques and Buddy just sounds off somehow. Besides, he was the third of a bunch of guys I decided to nickname Jim. Wow. He talks about the victim like he was his pet. Further, you messed up the files to make it look like it committed theft instead. Let's press it. Do you really think it was necessary to dishevel my shelves twice to do that? That's true. Okay, then maybe his real intent was theft. Hey, are you accusing me of stealing something from Mr. Edgeworth? He says, being more upset about that than the possible murder claim being shoved at him. It's a possibility. Maybe your salary's been cut so much that life is getting a little too rough to handle. Which, if it were any other detective, would probably be true. But this is Puppy Dog Gumshoe, so it isn't true. I'll have you know that I eat 3 square meals every day, pal. Okay, so all 3 of them happen to be instant noodles, but... Poor thing. What an evil prosecutor you were paired up with. And what a motive, no? Well, at least his evil prosecutor didn't murder him. That's when you moved Jim's body that was sitting in front of the bookshelf. Let's press it. And why would Detective Gumshoe do such a thing? Because the body was getting in his way. He had to mess up your bookshelf somehow, right? Anyway. But thanks to that, you didn't notice the bloody letters his body was hiding. Why do you think that the killer didn't notice the bloody letters? The body was covering it quite well, wouldn't you say? That's how he missed it. But judging by what I've seen, it doesn't take much for your detective to miss something. Who do you think you are? You know nothing about me, pal. There's a lot a person can understand about another from first impressions alone. I can't say I disagree with him on that point. Why don't you say something, sir? Not you too, Mr. Edgeworth. Oh. Despite his lack of attention to detail, I don't believe the detective to be the culprit. Nobody could have overlooked the bloody letters, and I can prove it with evidence. I couldn't ask for a better setup. For the game-finishing spike. He's a volleyball player? Alright, starting again. Since Edgeworth just basically told me where I'm supposed to present something. Alright, let's present. What do we have? Well, I guess this one, because how can you steal a binder without realizing that there was blood on it? Present. Objection! He thinks he's in court. And he thinks he's Phoenix Wright as well. Perhaps you're not aware, Mr. Portsman, but there is a serious flaw in your logic. Bring a bit of the courtroom into this, I see. No problem, I'm game. I can't help but find it odd. Excuse me? Odd that a fellow prosecutor would be brought down by the power of his own office. What are you talking about? Oh, you're joking. I get it. If you have the time to laugh, then you have the time to take another closer look at this. Do you still not see? If not, may I direct your attention to the missing file? What? That's impossible. What's impossible, Mr. Portsman? Nothing. The files on that shelf are all about a certain case. When the killer went to take the file after murdering your partner, I highly doubt they could have missed the bloody letters written on the spines. It's possible that they could have taken the file before committing the murder. I think it's pretty obvious that the file was stolen after it was written on. Man, everyone's an idiot. The missing letters in the detective's name, where the file should be, is proof. Yeah, I mean, the S is gone and there's only half an H. If Detective Gumshoe really was the culprit of this case, I highly doubt that even he could overlook his own name written in blood on the files. Especially as a detective who can't stand the sight of blood. Gasp! Which means, what exactly? What does that make this dying message? It makes it the work of a criminal intent on tampering with a crime scene. That's so low, I can't believe the criminal tried to pin this whole thing on me, sir. Me too, Edgeworth. You're like the last person who could murder someone in this whole series, basically. Except for maybe Pearls. I'm gonna get him, sir, you'll see. I'm gonna have them under arrest in no time. Well, Mr. Portsman? Brilliant. Absolutely splendid. Logic deserving of Olympic gold. I appreciate the praise, but it doesn't change the fact that your reasoning is flawed. You win some and you lose some. That's how life goes. Glad everyone's so cheery, even though I feel more dead than alive. But you know, it really is a shame. I really didn't want to have to bring this up. However... What? What is it this time? Are you still after me, pal? Humor me for a second. Who has the key to this office? That would be me. But Mr. Edgeworth just proved that I'm innocent, pal. Wow, Clark Kent in his wardrobe. That's absolutely right, and I acknowledge your innocence. Then why do I sense that you still have something to say? And that really doesn't go with his volleyball outfit. Well, I was thinking, did you know there's one other person with a key to this office? One other person? Hey, you there! Yes, sir. What is it, sir? Would you kindly fetch and escort that lovely young lady here for me? Oh, Gumshoe is not happy. A lady? The girl is a member of this building's security. Think of her as a material witness. Security? Did you say security? No, stop it, pal, don't. What's wrong with him all of a sudden? Oh my god. I believe she needs no introduction. I have called upon Miss Maggie Bird, a member of security. Oh no, the bad luck girl. Detective Gumshoe, sir? Maggie. Miss Bird is the security guard and watched tonight. I see, and your point is? My point is that she could very well have used it. And by it, I mean the master key, which can open up all the office doors in this building. What? What? If you're not the guilty party, Detective Gumshoe, then the only other person with access to this room is Miss Bird. How dare you? I would never sneak into someone's room. That's right, I refuse to believe that Maggie's a culprit, pal. It was me. That's right, I did it. Oh. Can we take that as a confession, Detective? Well, it wasn't really me, but it definitely wasn't Maggie, pal. So yeah, it was me. If it was, you'd have no problems with that, right? Please refrain from flying off the handle, Detective. There's no need for such theatrics. Listen to your boss, Detective. He understands what I'm saying here. That girl is the only one who could have committed the crime, and for one simple reason. So I'm stopping there for tonight, and next time we'll see Maggie Bird's trial. That's not in a courtroom. Good night.